This video was a request from a viewer. Thanks for the request, Rodmunch7278. This is the fall of PSA and the rise of USAir. Pacific Southwest Airlines, also known as PSA, was a regional US airline headquartered in San Diego, California, that operated from 1949 to 1988. It was the first large discount airline in the United States. Kenny Friedkin founded the airline in 1949 with a $1,000 a month leased Douglas DC-3. Friedkin obtained information from a travel agent upon starting the airline due to lessons learned from a failed precursor airline, Friedkin Airlines. The DC-3 began a weekly round trip from San Diego to Oakland via Burbank. Reservations were initially taken at a World War II surplus latrine refitted as a ticket office. In 1951, PSA moved its flight from Oakland to San Francisco International Airport. In late 1955, PSA replaced the Douglas DC-3 with two Douglas DC-4s from Capital Airlines, painting rectangles around the windows to make them resemble the newer Douglas DC-6. In January of 1958, PSA scheduled 37 DC-4s a week, Burbank to San Francisco, 29 of which originated in San Diego, and 4 non-stops San Diego to San Francisco. Fare from Burbank to San Francisco was $9.99. United Airlines, Western Airlines, and TWA then scheduled a total of 241 non-stop flights each week from Los Angeles to San Francisco, plus 49 flights a week from Burbank to San Francisco. About half of these flights by the competition were first class only. The rest carried coach passengers for $13.50. Later in 1958, PSA shifted some flight from Burbank to Los Angeles International Airport. That year it carried 296,000 passengers. In late 1959, PSA began flying Lockheed L-188 Electrics with 92 seats in a 6-seat lounge, replacing the 70-seat DC-4s. In 1963, it got its 6th Electra. By then it carried more passengers between the Bay Area and Los Angeles than any other airline. Total PSA passengers climbed from 355,000 people in 1959 to 1,305,000 people in 1963 and 5,162,000 in 1970. Boeing 727-114s, Boeing 727-214s, Boeing 737-214s, and McDonnell Douglas DC-930s replaced the Electras in 1965 to 1967. In 1966, PSA started flying to San Jose, and in 1967 to Sacramento Executive Airport. Later that year, PSA and other airlines moved to New Sacramento International Airport. Ontario was added in 1968, and Long Beach, Fresno, Stockton in 1971 and 72. In 1976, PSA was finally allowed to use offshore Airway V25 to San Diego, despite being an interstate airline. In 1974 and 75, PSA flew two wide-body Lockheed L-1011 TriStars, which were unique in having lower seating. They flew Los Angeles to San Francisco and San Diego to Los Angeles to San Francisco. PSA was the only interstate airline in the US ever to operate wide-body jets. Electras returned in 1975 for flights to Lake Tahoe that ended in 1979 as the Lake Tahoe Airport in the Sierra in the Sierra Nevada did not allow scheduled airline jets until the 1980s. Although Pacific Airlines briefly flew the Boeing 727-100s to Lake Tahoe in 1966, major interstate competitor Air California also flew Electras to Lake Tahoe until 1979 to 1980, but then returned to Lake Tahoe as AirCal with McDonnell Douglas MD-80s and Boeing 737-300s after the jet ban ended. PSA never served Lake Tahoe after retiring its Electras. After airline deregulation, PSA expanded beyond California to Reno, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Tucson, and Albuquerque. Its first flight beyond California was Oakland to Reno in December of 1978. The airline introduced automated ticketing and check-in machines at several airports, briefly flew to Cebu, San Lucas in Mexico. When PSA's plan to buy the assets of Braniff International Airways fell through, the airline expanded its network north to Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. PSA operated new BAE 146-200s to smaller airports like Iruka, California, and Concord, California. PSA held a Name the Plane contest, publicized in full-page newspaper advertisements to name the fleet, with the prize being a private flight for the winner and 99 friends. The winning entry was Smileliner, submitted by Dr. Hoch Jordan of Whittier, California. In 1987, Western and AirCal were purchased by Delta Airlines and American Airlines. An hour after the AirCal deal was announced, PSA agreed to merge with USAir, which was completed in 1997. PSA was then in talks with Boeing about acquiring its 757-200. PSA's last flight was on April 8, 1988. The PSA route network slowly disintegrated within USAir and was gone by 2004. Now we got to talk about USAir. In 1979, an airline called Allegheny changed its name. The new name was USAir. USAir was a launch customer for the Boeing 737-300, as the airline needed an aircraft with greater capacity to serve its growing Florida market. USAir was the world's largest operator of the DC-9 aircraft at the time and approached McDonnell Douglas to negotiate a new design. However, in the late 1970s, the McDonnell Douglas proposed successor to the DC-950 did not suit USAir. After the negotiations with McDonnell Douglas broke down, Boeing came forward with a proposed variant of the 737. USAir selected the new 737, and the company worked closely with Boeing during its development, taking delivery of the first plane on November 28, 1984. In 1978, USAir's network was east of the Mississippi, plus spokes to Houston and Phoenix. It added Dallas, Fort Worth, and Kansas City in 1981, Denver in 1982, and Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego in 1983. It acquired two commuter airlines, Pennsylvania Airlines and Suburban Airlines, in 1985. At this point, USAir also bought PSA. It also bought North Carolina-based Piedmont Airlines in 1987. The PSA acquisition was complete on April 9, 1988, and the Piedmont acquisition on August 5, 1989. The PSA acquisition gave USAir a network on the West Coast, while the Piedmont acquisition gave USAir a strong East Coast presence and hubs in Baltimore and Charlotte, which remained hubs for USAir. The Piedmont acquisition in 1989 was the largest airline merger until then, and USAir became one of the world's largest airlines, with more than 5,000 flights daily to 134 airports. In the next few years, USAir closed down PSA hubs in California and Piedmont hubs in Dayton and Syracuse, though both remained focus sites. By 1990, the airline had consolidated its new headquarters, moving from Washington National Airport to a new building at Crystal City in Arlington County, Virginia, near the airport. Maintenance and operations headquarters remained at Pittsburgh International Airport. In the early 1990s, USAir expanded to Europe with flights to London, Paris, and Frankfurt from its 4 main hubs. The company formed partnership marketing the Trump Shuttle as the USAir Shuttle and accepting a large investment from British Airways that started one of the first transatlantic alliances, resulting in several Boeing 767-200ERs being painted in the British Airways livery but operated by USAir. In 1992, it also invested in a new terminal at its hub in Pittsburgh. In 1996, the alliance between USAir and British Airways ended in a court battle when British Airways announced its intentions to partner with American Airlines. In early 1997, USAir changed its name to US Airways and introduced a new corporate identity. A stylized version of the United States flag was adopted as a new logo. The new branding was applied to terminals and jackets. The airline painted aircraft in deep blue and medium gray with red and white accent lines. At this point, the airline is not called USAir, and therefore that is where the video is going to end, as this was not about US Airways, but about USAir. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.